Aberdeen were keen to bounce back after their Skol Cup disappointment in midweek, and United, well, they were desperate to improve on their poor early season form. Here's David Livingston.
Scouser Paul Mason, having returned to Aberdeen and signed a new contract, found himself back in the first team as one of the changes after the Dons Skol Cup exit. On a day when the East Coast Har left Dundee bleak and overcast, United tried hard to brighten things up for their supporters. Hamish French sent clear by Gary Boland here. He gets clear of Brian Irvin, but can't beat goalkeeper Theo Snelders. It was an indication of the pressure United were to apply in the first half. Another chance opened up for French 5 minutes later. The build-up by Maurice Malpass, and the striker darts into space, only to see his shot stopped again by Snelders and his header go over the bar. United continued to dominate, and young Gary Boland made a powerful run on the left before finishing with a disappointing shot wide of the target. The game was into the second half before Aberdeen found their feet, but when that happened, it was time for United goalkeeper Alan Main to show his skills. The cross here from Steve Wright. Robert Connors and Hans Hielhaus both have a go, but Main saves the day for United. Aberdeen were well on top now, and Hielhaus was warming to his task. This excellent run spelling danger for United until Connors' shot goes wildly over the bar. United regained their composure for a time and came close to snatching a goal against the run of play. Miksu Patalainen's volley forces a good save from Snelders. Long-range specialist John Clark also had a go, but he didn't trouble the keeper unduly. The same can't be said of what came next at the other end. Aberdeen piled on the pressure to try to force a late breakthrough, and Main produced an incredible double save from Jim Bett and Scott Booth. With Booth finally being penalised for coming back into play from behind the goal line. United survived the last few minutes of pressure and managed to finish the game in their opponent's half. But when the final whistle went, it was the Aberdeen fans who were happiest, with a point which keeps them top of the league, while United were left disappointed by a second-half performance which almost lost them the game.
Well, I felt the first half we edged Aberdeen and were slightly the better side over the piece. I think that we could have been 1-0 up at half-time, but the second half Aberdeen definitely almost completely dominated the match, and they looked great in the second half. But I've got to look at Dundee United, and we were in a disgrace in the second half in that we didn't want to work, we didn't want to run, and we didn't pressure them near enough. And if you stand back and admire Aberdeen, then you'll get torn apart.
I thought it was an interesting game. I always felt that it was two sides with different styles. United liked to play the ball long, we liked to play the ball about, and you were never sure who was going to really gain the ascendancy until the last 25 minutes, I think, when we took over. But I didn't think the game was ever disinteresting, and there was defences done very well on both sides as well. They've got to get a bit of credit for that. And United and Aberdeen games always are like that. I mean, we had a game last year was a bit exceptional. We won 3-2 that game. There were 5 goals in it, but that was the norm for Dundee United and Aberdeen. But we, coming off the week we've had, coming here and taking a point is slightly disappointing from our point of view. But as I say, coming off the week we've had, we've got to really accept that, and we're quite happy that we're still at the top of the league.
Well, the real frustration at the moment is that far too many of the players are getting the same moans to them after every game, and they're most certainly not responding. They're players that can only seem to play 1 game a week, and if you said that to them, we'll just play you 1 game a week and we'll let somebody else have the bonus or the chance of the bonus in the other game, they would be first to complain. But really there are at least a couple of the players that are absolutely disgrace the way that they're playing in the second half of the second match in the week, and it really can't be tolerated.
What's the problem there? Why does that happen with players?
Well, some of the directors, when we're discussing it, definitely mention that because they get a big bonus on a Tuesday, they don't need it on a Saturday. I don't agree with that, but Liz Lynch to me summed it up when she won the medal. She wanted it enough, and we definitely have not enough players at Tannadice, and we've never had enough players at Tannadice that want it enough and have that wee streak that they'll push when it's hurting and when they're tired. OK, there are a couple of them young at the moment, Boland and McLaren are only 18 years of age, Cleland 19, but at the end of the day, if you want it enough, you have a chance of getting it. If you don't want it more than the opposition, there's no way you'll get it.
Does that mean that then that you will have to change the playing staff here, or how do you go about doing that?
It's impossible, because I definitely still believe that people have basically got to have ability, and when you get ability players you definitely find it difficult to get that killer instinct, and in particular a player like Jimmy McInally at the moment. We don't have anybody like him, and as a result it's not Jimmy's own performance that we're missing at the moment, it's his attitude and his motivation in the middle of the park to keep people going, keep people concentrating. And obviously we've got problems at the moment, but the first half we didn't have many problems. The second half we most certainly had the same problem that is shown far too often.
Andy Gray, of course, will be watching this, and Andy possibly epitomises the kind of player you're talking about. Is that really the kind of determination you're talking about?
Well, the difficulty is that Andy's that old now that there's few people about that remember him playing. But Andy Gray, when he came here, even as a 19-year-old kid, was absolutely magnificent, and that is exactly what we're looking for. But far too few people that we have here at Tannadice and the playing staff have that sort of will to win, and unfortunately it is something that coaches can't give them. We can definitely get them a wee bit fitter, we can definitely get them a wee bit more knowledgeable in the game, we can even try and work at their basic skills. But if you don't want it enough, you'll never get it, and unfortunately we can't help them with that side here.
Well, I think that was something I heard quite a lot from Jim McLean, even way back then, was the desire, do you want it or do you not? I'll tell you what you could do, Jim, give them the basic wage I was on all those years ago.